BDO South Africa is a professional audit, tax, and advisory firm that's part of a global network of firms in over 160 countries. We have offices in 7 locations nationally with more than 2,400 qualified staff ready to assist our clients. Welcome to our Clarity Unscripted podcast. Here, you will find transparent content that's both insightful and unfiltered. No holds barred, just pure clarity.
Good day. Welcome to Clarity Unscripted. Today we've got a lovely guest, Rabia Ebrahim, co-founder of Casafic, head of finance at Wirtgen, founder of the Rabia Foundation, and a BDO alumni. Welcome, Rabia. Good morning.
Morning, Pat. Thank you.
How are you doing? Who is Rabia? Let us know what you are all about.
It's actually been a while since somebody asked me that. So, how do I sum it up? So I joined BDO in 2014 after failing honors at UJ. And I say it now, and when the words actually come out of my mouth, it feels like it was ages ago. Joined BDO for my articles in 2014 after failing CTA. I then did CTA part-time.
And how was that? Maybe let's take our audience through that period. I mean, a lot of people will say, do not do your articles and try CTA at the same time. Take us through that journey.
To this day, I still say that working and studying was one of the hardest things I've ever had to do. And even after becoming a mom, that's still on like the top 3 of the hardest things I've had to do. For me, I didn't have much of a choice as I didn't want to study full time. Not only didn't want to, my uncle paid for my studies. So even though he was more than willing to pay for another year for me to do it full time, I just didn't want to put that financial burden on him again. So that's why for me, it was sort of forced that I study and do articles at the same time. But it was hectic. Being a first year, this was my first job ever. So starting out working, getting into corporate, studying, if I look back, I don't even know how I did it, but you just get it done.
But it's absolutely remarkable that, you were going through a lot at that point in time, first time job. And you also started a foundation during that period. Where did you get the time then to even start a foundation? And what was the thought process of having a foundation while studying and helping out the less privileged than you?
So at the time, Sam Dancy, she was the CFO at BDO and my mentor. One thing that she said to me a while back was that you don't get time, you make the time. So when I decided to start the foundation, for me, that was my one thing where I was so passionate about it. And it's still the one thing that makes me come alive. So no matter how hectic the days are or how hectic the deadlines are, that's the one thing that I look forward to. And I was blessed to be in articles with a group of people who wanted the same things, who wanted to give back, who was passionate about the projects we were doing. So though we were studying and articles was hitting us hard and life was just lifing at the time. Weekends,
I can tell you're not a 2000 because you said it was life. No one uses that phrase.
you make me feel old now, Pat. But all of us got together on the weekends. We went to my high school actually. We gave extra classes. We went to orphanages. We did these things with these kids, and that's what kept us going. I think I was blessed to be around people and not only the trainees who helped out, the managers who donated money, even the partners who donated money, who donated things, who donated time. So I think that's what made the foundation come alive, was that everybody was inspired by what I was doing, and they were CAs who also, or up and coming CAs who also wanted to give back. All of us would get together on the weekends, and I remember when we just started out, we actually went to my high school where we would do extra lessons free of charge to the grade 10s, 11s, and 12s for math, science, and accounting. So, it really helped being part of a group and part of a company where they were passionate about the things I was passionate about. So that like drove me to continue with the foundation and gave me that drive to just make it what it is today.
Geez, that's absolutely remarkable. I mean, giving back, you're studying, you're actually, doing your first year of articles. And just take us through that journey. Then do you pass first time that you're doing this thing part time? As you're studying, how does CTA go? How does boards go? What actually happens in that year?
So much of it is a blur.
Everyone wants to forget about CTA.
But yeah, it was the toughest. Still, till this day, I say it's one of the toughest years I've ever gone through in my life. Um, I remember formulating a schedule for myself that I'd work. Uh, Obviously, how whatever hours we had to work. Sometimes seven, start at 7, sometimes at 8, depending on the job. Work, get home. And I committed to doing 2 hours of CTA work every day. Then obviously the weekends a bit more work. Yeah, and just like that, row through the year. Also, the support that I had was really great because coming from the other people that were also doing CTA, so often late nights would still be in the office after an audit, meet up here, study. Same with weekends, do that. I passed CTA the first year I did it part-time. However, I then failed the first board exam, which that like crushed me all over again because all my peers, well, most of my peers had passed that year. But I picked myself up, studied all over again, went to board course, did it the second time, wrote in June, and then I passed the board in June. And then I was on track with the rest of my peers who had passed CTA the year that I failed.
So you basically caught up a year, essentially.
Yeah, and then did CTA, not CTA, did board 2, with APC as it's now known, did APC, and then a few days, I remember we got the scenario on the Friday. The week before Friday, I lost my mother. My mother
Jeez.
passed away the week before we wrote the APC.
Yeah.
So I remember that day, that Wednesday, going to the venue, and I sat in my car. I even get a lump in my throat like talking about it now.
Yeah.
I remember sitting in my car that day, and I just like prayed, and I said to God, you know what, you wouldn't have brought me here if this wasn't for me. So, and you know how it is with the APC, you can only prepare as much as you can prepare, and then what happens on that day happens on that day. So I literally sat in the car dealing with the loss of my mother and having this board exam, about to write this board exam. Went in there, I wrote the exam. If I tell you after that, the next day I couldn't even iron my hair because I said writing for 8 hours was so hectic. I couldn't do my hair the next day. But I just sat with it, and even when results came out the day before, I was like, you know what? I had no expectations. I said to myself, if you don't make it, you don't make it. Like I learned the journey, I think, made me learn that what's meant for you will always come to you. You work hard and you pray hard, and if you missed the bus, you know you missed it because it wasn't your bus. But if you don't work and you don't pray, you know that maybe it was your bus, but you just
You
missed
just
it.
doesn't put in the effort. And I mean, looking at that, losing a parent and having to go and write, it talks about your character as well. I mean, a lot of people would have crumbled and said, I'm not going to write this exam. I'll write it next year. And it talks about how you've built such character. And it's absolutely amazing. I mean, looking at that journey and where you are now, do you feel that built the person you are today?
Most definitely. Um, I always say that you don't know how strong you are until you've had to live in a world without your mother. And since that's why that particular moment, I remember it so vividly, sitting in my car and literally crying to God to help me because I was depleted emotionally. I was just not in the best place to be. But when I look back now, I know that I wouldn't have been the woman I am today if that didn't have to happen. I know that going through that, having experienced that loss and still thriving from that, I know that no matter what life throws at me, it's okay. I'll be fine. I'll get up and I'll go.
That's absolutely remarkable. And I think from there on, you were actually, for the first time, actually, you were the best trainee for the full 3 years. What did that mean? I know people become trainee of the year. You were the best trainee for the full 3 years. I mean, what did that actually mean? Having gone through the hardship, having gone through the failure, and then coming out as the best trainee still.
Yeah. Well, I guess you don't know how good you're doing until you get something like that, get an accolade like that. You're like, oh, wow, I actually did make a difference. But I would like to say for me, it was the support I got from BDO. At the time during my articles, I was surrounded by, till today, I'll say, like the best of the best. The trainees, till today, I'm actually friends with almost all the people I did articles with. The partners, I mentioned my mentor, Sam, and Mr. Stephen Shaw. Uh, those are the people that that kept you going, that BDO was like a family to me, that I knew if it was a day that I was struggling, I could come into the office and I'd find someone there, even if it's not like my person. I'd find someone there. I find a you there, Pat, and we'd laugh about something, or we'd go to the boardroom and talk to Selena, or we'll have a coffee. And that was the culture at BDO. That is the culture at BDO. And that's what I guess that's what made me trainee of the 3 years, was that I fed up the people around me. I learned as much as I could. I made as much friends as I could, and genuine friends who till this day I can pick up the phone and call on them and say, I'm having an issue, a tax issue, or what is your opinion on this? And we come together and we talk.
Jeez, that's actually remarkable. And then you move on. You actually go and you head up finance at a BDO client. How did that come about? I mean, surely they can't just take our staff.
No, not at all. They didn't take our staff. So the Wirtgen Group was my client from my first year in articles, actually. And first year, second year, third year, even as an audit senior, I was on the audit. My predecessor, she wanted to step down from the role because at the time the Wirtgen Group was acquired by John Deere. So we were now part of this big global firm. So internal controls were more stricter. We now had to comply with Sarbanes-Oxley, lots of like legislation requirements. So my predecessor didn't want to do all of that. So she wanted to step down. Hence, when I think the relationship I built up with the MD of Wirtgen South Africa, that's when he at the time then said, would I be interested in a post like that? And again, going to my saying where I said I believe that what's meant for you will find you, because ironically that when he approached me for that, I had found out that I was pregnant. So it just worked like all in like this divine planning of the universe that I wanted to now move out of auditing because I was going to become a mom and I felt like I had lived enough of my life, if I could say that, and I wanted to give more to being a mom and just, savor in that role. So when the opportunity came, I said, I did speak to Mr. Shaw about it. I used to say he's my work dad because over the years he has mentored me and given me the best of advice. And he said, if that's where you feel you're gonna go, then do that. And till today, it was the best decision I've ever made.
That's absolutely great. And when you're looking now, in your role, what you're currently doing, what does it entail? I mean, you've got a lot of, call it third years now, people not sure where to go next. What do you do on a day-to-day basis? How does your day actually look?
Well, normal month end stuff. And I know when I say month end, because I remember like when I first got to this role, I would think to myself, clients would always say to us, don't bother me at month end. So I would be like, what is so hectic about month end? But now I fully get it. Month end, it's quite hectic because we have like really tight deadlines because we need to report to Germany and then they need to report to the USA, China. So we have like a very robust consolidation process. So that's hectic. But every other day I'm involved, like I stay close to my MD because I want to sort of like walk the walk and talk the talk and see what he's doing. And he's become now my mentor. I'm involved in the legal, in the compliance with the Poppy Act. When that came into effect, I was actively involved in that. I recently went to a global meeting in Germany to represent South Africa, our company there, meet with world leaders in finance, all in our industry. So that has given me, so when you say like head of finance or financial manager, people think I'm just there crunching
In a
numbers
box.
and it's like so boring compared to audit, who's different clients. But I feel into the third years who's now undecided. If you started articles and you feel I want to be an audit partner, then stay on in BDO and be an audit partner. But if you started and you were like, oh, I'm not sure where I want to go, take the leap. If it's someone actually said to me today that you must do what makes you happy. So, and you'll find that. And it's the people you work with and your job is what you make it. If you go to work every day and you're like, oh,
I
yeah,
don't want to
and
be.
another day in this place, it's gonna suck the life out of you. But if you go to work and you're like, yay, like let's make it, what I want it to be, it will be your best day yet.
It makes absolute sense. I mean, and I think that's where we need to actually say, what do I like? What do I enjoy? What makes sense for me? And then you then start another business now. Tell us about this business. What does it entail? We've seen it on social media, but what is the business about?
Well, I didn't start the business alone. I did mention my uncle, my mentor, my everything in life. He's actually the reason I am where I am today. Because, like I said, he paid for me to go through school, to varsity, mentored me. So he is the reason I sit here today. He has a car dealership called Alroad City Motors. So, much smaller dealership than your big, Mercedes Benz, BMW, much on a smaller scale, a dealership in Alroad South, in Joburg South. So, he actually came up with the idea because he was advertising on the bigger marketplaces, like the auto traders and the surf for cars and cars, those type of vehicle marketplaces. So we had a conversation. It's myself and a group of other young people who are passionate about it, had a conversation and he said, there isn't actually a a vehicle marketplace that is targeted at the smaller dealerships. And yes, whilst the auto traders and the cars are great, if you're a smaller dealership, you pay this monthly fee. However, because you're on a smaller scale, your sales, you're not selling as much to make up for that fee that you pay. So he saw this gap in the market where he said, there isn't one for really the smaller dealerships, and then got on board this fantastic guy in IT who built the website and did all IT things till today. I'm like, I don't know. And even when I say he's an IT person, I don't want to like underplay it, but he's just like, the Steve Jobs in my world. um, so uh, got on board him, who did coding and built the site that we have today, where we get dealerships. Though we love the bigger ones, of course, the Mercedes-Benz and the BMWs, but it's more focused to the smaller, medium-sized ones whose turnover every month isn't as big, or they aren't as recognized as the bigger dealerships. So they sign up with us, and then we market the vehicles on the site, and for obviously a lower fee than your bigger marketplaces, the auto traders, etc., would charge. But then you're still getting your business out there. So, targeted at that. And then myself and my uncle, of course, and our IT genius, along with marketing and printing. And he basically put together a group of individuals with different expertise and different knowledge, and brought us together, and we created this wonderful brand that today is Pacific, that you see on social media.
And how important is that to have a building of a team with different skill sets? A lot of the times we think, let's only have CAs. How important is it to have different skill sets coming together and building something?
No, absolutely critical, because you sort of feed off each other. Like me personally, when it comes to like social media and that type of thing, like our head of marketing at Pacific, I remember like even asking her, like, I have Instagram and like I post whenever I remember to post things. But I remember when we just started out with Pacific, she like would pull these stats and would say, like, teach me about the digital world of social media and how that affects our business. So it was vital, where different people, different expertise, like that. Like I now learned, okay, the benefits of social media, where being in audit, like I've never Instagrammed like anything like audit related. So and even like the IT side, like I'm saying, our like the whole brains behind our website and the marketplace itself, he's great. Like he'll tell me, oh, let's pull stats and these are the trends. Like I remember with Barbie and the Festival of Motoring, we're actually attending the Festival of Motoring in this month. um then he showed me all these trends on what's trending on social media for that and Barbie. So having a team who is really like the cream of the crop, where they really know their industry and their business, and you just feed off, and you're never too old to learn. So that's what I find is the best thing about working in a team. You learn new things all the time.
Yeah, I definitely think, learning all the time is important. We've gone through, your journey. You've told us about, the mentorship side of things, the dealings of having a mentor, not having a mentor. What is, your parting words to a young chartered accountant going out there, going to market, someone studying? What are your parting words?
Never sell yourself short. Do life and do this career unapologetically. Um, You are you, and nobody can do you better than you. So you chose this career, you are in it, you have finished varsity, whether you are starting articles or at the end of articles, you are here. Your life begins here. And this is going to be all you make it to be. So let it be your best story.
As you heard it, let this be your best story. It's Women's Month and we're featuring Rabia Ebrahim. Clarity Unscripted.